Heaven can't exist without hell. It's not two worlds, it's one.
The Berlin Radio Choir, in cooperation with the American theater director and visual artist Robert Wilson, brings Luther and Bach to the stage. Luther, Dancing with the Gods, is a production based on Martin Luther's writings and his biblical translation.
Und alle Sklaven und alle Freien verbargen sich in den Klüften und Felsen der Berge. Ob ich jetzt wechsle?
Ja, ich finde, das ist eine gute Stelle zum Wechseln.
Luther was always plagued by incredible anxiety from the time when he first believed. That makes it so relevant for us. Because we also live in a period when everybody is plagued by anxiety and feels threatened. He created a new idea in which he believed that faith and trust in Jesus Christ and the Word of God would help him find something to rely on. I think that's a very contemporary issue. Many people are searching today for somebody or something they can still trust.
Robert Wilson trusts his images. Luther trusted language and translated the Bible from Greek into German. The production plays with Luther's language, his translations and writings. Some of the texts are recited in the original Greek by the actress Lydia Korniodou, who is currently the Greek culture minister. The entire creative team is international.
I've been involved in developing the project from the start. That's why we call ourselves the creative team, because we work together and each person contributes ideas, which are then developed. All, of course, subordinate to the basic idea that Bob had and what the ideas inspire in him.
The old master of images is still full of inspiration, and the ideas are perfected step by step. For Wilson, every movement, every posture has to be just right.
Stop. Let it rest on the bar, here at the wrist.
Basically, it's an enormous jigsaw puzzle that Robert Wilson is constructing.
Like a flower.
In all of my works, I diagram them or put them together mathematically so I can see the total picture quickly. And later we can fill in form or content.
A crucial element is the lighting.
78 and 79.
Shift go. Shift go. Shift go. All right, Bob, that's done.
Das heißt, du könntest das alleine machen und programmieren. Das Lisa da kann.
Great. To me, light is the most essential element in theater, in architecture. Albert Einstein said, light is the measure of all things. And without light, there's no space.
The whole auditorium becomes a stage.
He creates works of art in which people, talented people, move and speak or sing. But everything else, light, sounds, props, stage set, whether it's painted on the floor, on the ceiling, or round about, regardless. For him, everything is supposed to come together. That's how he rehearses.
I've been working 50 years in the theater. I've never once, ever in 50 years told someone what to think, or have I put an interpretation on the work. It's interpretations for the public, maybe for philosophers who can think about things in time.
Yeah, okay. Now, George, walk and see if you can see. The wrist. Turn it up more.
It's not, there's some limit to the body.
Okay, George, thank you. Bravo.
Behind stage is what you might call the laboratory, where the singers and actors are dressed and made up to become the figures that Robert Wilson and his team have imagined. When some actors are not able to attend all of the rehearsals, their doubles have to appear in full costume. This, for instance, is Lydia Korniodou's double.
Bob Wilson's theatre is neither psychological nor naturalistic. Instead, it finds signs and abstract expression for particular experiences, developments, feelings, installations and events. It never tries to depict a naturalistic or psychological image of a figure. The question is rather, what strength did this person, this historical figure, have? What motivated him? What emotions, areas, developments of human society did he influence? Or what influence did he have on the individual? Where did something change?
When Luther refused to retract his theses, he was condemned by the Pope and eventually banished. Here, Rome's accusations and Luther's defense at the Council of Worms are symbolized as a row, a cacophony of contradictory voices.
Wie würde ich da einer Bosheit und Tyrannei zur Deckung dienen?
200 years later, Johann Sebastian Bach set the Reformers' texts to music.
I think the Reformation plays a subordinate role. The main focus here is Luther. But I think the religious aspects are well represented by the motets. We sing a lot of Christian texts, spiritual works. There the focus is on religion, more than in the scenes, which are interspersed.
Mehr behandelt als dann in den Szenen, die dazwischen laufen.
The singing and acting are rehearsed again and again until they coalesce. The Protestant chorales are supplemented by 20th century compositions. Steve Reich's clapping music, for instance. The singers all wear their gloves at rehearsals.
Once without gloves, those that we can take the gloves off.
Können wir bitte einmal die Handschuhe ausziehen und das probieren ohne Handschuhe?
We've done a lot of opera productions with choruses, but I have to say, it's not the radio choir's stock and trade. This is an exception for them. It's not their first time, but it's not what they usually do. So go around once, that's like the first appearance. Then, of course, all in black. Certainly the space is very interesting. Of course, the figure of Luther is as well, but the space is very interesting because it isn't a conventional theatre. This is not picture frame theatre, it's a very special architecture. It was clear from the start that it would be staged here, so the whole concept was developed with this in mind. The basic idea is an amphitheatre. That brought the Greek element into the production. So one thing led to another.
Wilson and the choir chose this space deliberately, for its unusual shape, but also for its superb acoustics. The Pierre Boulez Hall opened in the spring of 2017. Designed by Franco Gehry and built at the back of the Deutsche Oper, one of Berlin's 3 opera houses, it's the home turf of Daniel Barenboim's Said Academy. The Berlin Radio Choir is used to performing in unusual venues. With interdisciplinary projects in New York, Tokyo, and other cultural capitals, it's earned itself an international reputation. The singers are used to performing with large orchestras and famous conductors.
Sometimes it's exhausting, it demands incredible concentration, and it is very new for us because we aren't an opera chorus, we're a radio choir. That means our forte is concert performance. We normally stand behind the orchestra, open our scores, sing, and that's it. This performing, especially with a director like Bob Wilson, is an enormous challenge for all of us.
Sensitivity is required all around.
Ich weiß, dass Frau Nicola Panzer ganz genau weiß, was Bob Wilson möchte.
I know that Nicola Panzer understands exactly what Bob Wilson wants. She has a fantastic way of rehearsing with us because she radiates an incredible calm. Even when we have to repeat some movement 10 times because, for instance, the lighting wasn't correct. We start to lose patience, but she remains absolutely calm. She talks to us very quietly and takes us through the movements. I think she knows exactly what the result is supposed to be.
On opening night, this scene is darker and more subdued than originally planned. In rehearsal, it looked like this. The singers were using white balls, and the cow cadaver was red. Overnight, red and white became black, and 2 wooden slats that had previously been used disappeared.
We always try to achieve a good mix. You're not supposed to hear individual voices, but here we're more in the realm of musical theatre, or you could even call it opera, in which individuality is a bit more important.
Wo die Individualität, glaube ich, schon ein bisschen wichtiger wird.
Gijs Leenaars took over as principal conductor and artistic director of the Berlin Radio Choir in August 2015. Because this stage is circular, he's assisted by co-conductor Benjamin Goodson.
Was jetzt in dieser Vorstellung für mich sehr interessant ist, dass
what I find so interesting about this production is that Wilson has made a very personal selection of texts by Luther and of images from contemporary paintings.
Von Gemälden, also zeitgenössischen Gemälden und so.
I see it as an invitation to read and understand more about the period.
Von dieser Zeit.
Ich sah und ich hörte, wie ein Adler mitten durch den Himmel floh.
When Wilson quotes from the Book of Revelations, he transports us into the apocalyptic visions of the first Christian century.
Denen, die auf Erden wohnen, wegen der anderen Posaunen der 3 Engel, die noch blasen sollen.
Luther selbst bedeutet für mich, ich bin nicht religiös gebunden.
I'm not religious, so Luther doesn't mean anything to me in that context. But he means a lot to me as the man to whom, together with others, we owe the modern German language. Also the poetry. We owe him the mystique of German. We have a beautiful language.
Ich weiß ein Wort. Das hat ein L. Wer das sieht, der begehrt es schnell. Wenn aber das L weg und fort ist, nichts Besseres im Himmel und auf Erden ist, hast du nun einen weisen Geist. So sage mir, wie das Wörtlein heißt.
Wilson's strict choreography, even in case of the innocent child, is reminiscent of the strict choreography of a liturgy.
This is not a church. It's a concert hall. And maybe what I have is a spiritual feeling. Maybe the light induces something that's spiritual, but I hope it's not a religious service. Religion has no place in the theater.
A key scene is Luther's death. Wilson clearly defines the arrangement of the deathbed. In particular, the arrangement of the blanket and the precisely determined folding of the sheet have to be practiced by the assistants so that it looks exactly the same at each performance.
So if we know what we're doing, then we can tell somebody else.
mag ihn so, weil ein
I am very fond of him because he is such a loving worker.
ist nicht schlampig.
But he's not sloppy. He is absolutely precise. I think precision and not arbitrariness is an aspect of every form of art.
Und nicht Beliebigkeit.
Die lieben Kindlein leben in Unschuld, wissen von keiner Sünde, leben ohne Neid.
When performed, this death scene takes 12 minutes.
Unglaube, etc.
It begins with a quotation from Luther about children, their innocence, joy, and purity.
Martin Luther, for me, is a point in time. And you have different points in different eras in which change happens. And so I see it as something more abstractly. It's a point in time where things changed.
35 years I lived with my husband.
The stylized housewife in the final scene seems to point to Luther's wife, Katharina.
Das hat ein L. Wer das sieht, der begehrt mich schnell. Und das war's für heute. Bye, bye.
Ich habe so ein bisschen das Gefühl, dass es
I have the feeling that it's a typically American characteristic, adding a bit of razzmatazz. I think Bob Wilson wanted to slip in a bit of that style, and he pulled it off.
Actually, that isn't the end, for in a Robert Wilson production, even the curtain call is choreographed.